Hi fans, I'm the PC Expert Amateur, and this is episode 70, 70, of the airflow and pressure differential comparison of 120 millimeter fans. I'm getting really close to the end here. I think I've got, that I can find anyway, I think I've got 4 more fans. I managed to find 8 hiding in a box that I thought was empty. And so I'm really hoping that I'm going to just stumble across something else. But I did do a bunch of sorting and rearranging and stuff. And that's how I found those 8. Plus the 9th one was just sitting here in front of me. And I just forgot that it was sitting there because I had not done a review for it. In fact, it's this blower right here. So I have to do a review for it for tomorrow for the airflow for 71, episode 71. Anyways. I also have some good news for you. For those of you who are absolutely fixated on CFMs, I have added the maximum CFM column into the airflow test results. So you'll be able to see all that from now on. And sorry for not remembering to put that in sooner. I know I've been talking about it for quite some time. But as a reminder, I do my measurements in CMHs, cubic meters per hour. Now, I also want to remind you that this is my anemometer or airflow meter. And there are 4 decimal places for the area setting that I have to use. This is calibrated on against the Noctua 12 by 25, A12 by 25, sorry. And because there are only 4 decimal places instead of the 5 that I need, there is an error, a distortion that creeps into the results when they get high enough. In the lower levels of the results, there's probably no distortion or a very small one, but as it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, eventually there is a distortion that becomes significant enough that you could see it if you were a mathematician and could figure out the distortion. And you know, I can't do any of that. I'm not a mathematician. Math breaks my brain. So that's why when I do keyboard videos, I'll often talk about whether there is or isn't a calculator button, because I use the calculator often. But yeah, so that's the bad news. Is that, and the good news is that despite the distortion, it is a consistent mathematically predictable distortion, and therefore I can still use the airflow test results to rank the fans. Now, I can't replace my anemometer because I don't have a job, I don't have money, so unless I get a lot of people to support me, it's really not going to be pleasant for the rest of this year. And probably I'll end up being homeless. I only have one Patreon patron. Rudik, thank you very much for your support. And yeah, so that's the crux of the problem. Okay, so let's take a look at the fans now. We have the Akust FANMOD 12. Kind of a pretty blue color there. I wonder if that is UV reactive. I don't know. And the Akasa Smart and Cool motherboard controlled fan AK-FN053. Also a nice blue color there. And I've got the, I'm going to get this thing off of here. Hold on a sec. Okay, I've got the GIM, or Shenzhen Ryuej Technology Company Limited, KB17. And yeah, there's that information on the back there. And then I've got the Pinfox PF1225LD12. Which came in just a plain box. It does come with a grill, because it's a little bit faster. Wow, a lot bit faster, actually, than some of the other ones. And then finally, the BOK BDM12025S, which has some interesting looking blades, as you can see. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the RPM results for these 5 fans on this screen, and I want you to take a look at those, and then I want you to also find out what the bearing type is for each of these fans. take a look at some pictures. Consider things such as the diameter of the hub, the design of the blades and the frame, the distance between the blades side to side, and so on, and any other information you want to look up, and try to figure out which fans are the worst, or sorry, which fan is most likely going to be just one fan, right? Is going to be the worst for airflow, and which will be the best, and which will be the worst for pressure differential, and which will be the best. Just to be clear, pressure differential is the difference between one position, or in this case, speed for the fans, and I start from 0 and I go all the way to the maximum. So in this case, it's going from 0 to the maximum that the fan can do, and then put all that in your guesses into the comments. Save it. Please don't change it. This is not a competition. Nobody's getting rewarded or punished or anything like that. So it's just an opportunity for you to try to practice learning how to identify fans that are better versus fans that are worse. So I'm going to put that up on the screen now. Right. So we can see that the Akust FANMOD, or Acoustical Thermal Developer FANMOD 12, is rated at 1200, came in at 1330. The Akasa is rated at 1500, but came in at 1429.2. That's still within the typical 10% variance, so that's okay. The Pinfox is rated at 1500, came in at 1640. That's also okay. The Bach is rated at 1999. Came in at 1770, which is all that's a little bit off there. The minimum is supposed to be 1600. I was able to get it to go down to 209.1, by the way. And then the GIM is rated at 1800, came in at 2090. So that's also a little bit on the high side. So we can see some weird variances with the fans. And I want you to pause and put your guesses now into the comments, and then we'll move on to the airflow. Okay, so we can see here the Akasa came in at 123.6. And that is almost above average for fans. I mean, to me, fans that up into the around the 75-ish mark for, if you're looking at CFMs, would be what I would think of as average, with the bulk of average fans being closer to, say, probably like 40 to 60. The Akust came in at 142.8, which is above average. The Pinfox 147, the Bach 163.8, and the GIM 198. So I don't know how you did with that, but let's take a look at the pressure differential. And we can see here that the Akasa came in at 67 degrees. That's not temperature, that's actually degrees of movement. And then the Akust came in at 69, not a significant difference. The Pinfox and the Bach at 73, which is not exactly something that I would say would be significant, nor was the difference between them and the GIM at 77 what I would consider to be significant. So what I want to do now is I want to show you how these fans stack up with the 300 or so other fans that I have on my list. All right, so we can see that this is sorted by RPMs right now, and to keep in mind that RPMs do tend to be correlatively related to things like airflow and static pressure, but not always. You depending on how the fan is designed and the bearings and other things, you can actually enhance or nerf the results from, so that they don't line up with the RPMs. So let's see what we've got in the first quartile here. And we got the Akust and the Akasa and the V's. Oh, I forgot about that. Okay, so the Akust and the Akasa in the first quartile. And then in the, actually, you know what? I think the Akasa is in the second quartile. And then in the, also with the Pinfox, and then the Bach is in the third quartile. And the GIM is in the fourth quartile all by itself. All right, let's take a look at the pressure differential results. Okay, what have we got? Anything in the first quartile? Nope. Second quartile, we've got the Akasa and the Akust. Third quartile, the Pinfox and the Bach. And then in the fourth quartile, we have the GIM. And now we're going to take a look at airflow results. All right, and let's see if there's anything in the first quartile here. Oh, yeah, the Akasa and the Akust is actually in the second quartile with the Pinfox. And the, wait a second, yeah, the Bach in the second quartile, but the third quartile, we have the GIM, and the fourth quartile, that's it. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to slide this over so that you can see the RPMs, airflow, and pressure differential. I don't know if you're here looking for the best airflow fan that you can find, or if you're looking to see if the airflow fan that you're interested in are worth buying, or if you're just trying to learn about fans. But I'll go through this slowly. Please keep in mind that airflow fans, and pause anytime you need to, that airflow fans are great fans for exhaust. They're not, unless they have high static pressure, they're not great for intake. If they have both high airflow and static pressure, which is shown in these columns over here, then they are going to be hybrids, and you can use them either way, intake or exhaust. If they only have high static pressure and they have low airflow, or what I would call average airflow, then they really aren't qualified to be used for exhaust and should just be used for intake. And there are some fans out there that definitely don't have good specs for either, and you just should avoid those. So again, pause it anytime you need to. Okay. And that is it for today's episode. You've hopefully found the information that you were looking for, and you'll be able to sleep well now knowing that you have that information. I apologize for any errors. I'm human, and I'm struggling with a lot of things going on right now. I just found out I'm probably pre-diabetic, which is very surprising because I actually eat very well, and there's no family history really. So yeah, that's confusing for me. Now, if you have questions, put them down in the comments. Thank you so much. I'll see you tomorrow for what will theoretically at least be, unless I can find the rest of the 120s, the last 120 millimeter fan comparison for a while, and I'll be proceeding with the 140 millimeter fans. I hope the inclusion of the Max CFM column is helpful for you. So thanks again, and have a great day.
I need to ask for your help. Things have been challenging. Whose life hasn't been challenging lately? So if you can please help me out by liking, subscribing, sharing, commenting, and turning on notifications, that would be really, really super. Also, if you'd like to help me financially and you can't afford to, you can do a super thanks on my Glenn's Fast Reviews channel, or you can become a member there. Or if you prefer, you can go to patreon.com/GLENNMII and become a member there instead. Also, I'd like to give a shout out to Bleeping Computer for their support of my channel. If you need resources for computers, for getting rid of malware and learning about cybersecurity and stuff, Bleeping Computer, BLEEPING computer.com is a great resource. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great day.